I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water.
It's about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
Join movement expert Aaron Alexander as he dives into the minds of the foremost innovative healthcare thinkers and movement masters on their approach to optimal health and wellness. Align Podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Aaron Alexander. Today's beautiful episode is with my dude, Mr. Carl Paoli. Carl is an elite level gymnast, or was elite level gymnast. I don't know. How does that work? If you were at one point, are you always? I don't know. He has a robust history in a variety of movement and thoughts and perspectives that I really appreciate. So we got into all sorts of things, ranging from like breath work to meditation to why the heck it is we go and what's the point of moving in the first place? What's the point of moving well? What's the point of caring about fitness? It's really good. I enjoyed the conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed as well. Thank you so much for tuning into the website, alignpodcast.com. On there, you can start the 5-day movement challenge that breaks down some fundamental movements that I believe everyone needs to have in their day-to-day life. And you can get started on that thing. Just jump on there, alignpodcast.com, and we'll get them blasted out to you. Thank you so much to Cured Nutrition for supporting this episode. They are certainly one of my favorite CBD companies out there. They do a great job with blending herbs and spices and all sorts of delicious stuff along with CBD. So you get that medicinal value of the cannabis, and you're also getting delicious herbs and spices. I find sometimes just like doing the oils to be kind of like, I don't know, boring. It doesn't always taste that good. So I like it infusing the spices. So I recommend those guys. You can jump on to curednutrition.com and use a line code for 10% off any of your purchase. And they're affordable. It's great. Very rare. The CBD companies are affordable, and Cured does it somehow. Thank you guys so much for sharing this with your friends. Thank you so much for leaving reviews on iTunes. And I think that's it. We're ready to go. I'm here in Costa Rica still doing a yoga teacher training, which is really interesting, diving into yoga and all those things. It's really fun. You guys don't need to hear that. I apologize for delving into the annals of my ridiculous stretchy life. All right, here we go. Back to the show. Carl Paoli. Pow.
Align Podcast.
You ever heard a book called Radical Honesty?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Have you read it?
I have not.
Dude, you got to. You got to. I've read 42 pages of it.
Oh, nice.
I'm getting into it. And
is it good?
It's fucking good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like real good. So the guy, first of all, the guy gives minimal fucks. He's like, he cusses in it. He's like this super smart psychologist guy, but he's just like keeping it super real throughout
That's
the
awesome.
whole thing, which is that's like refreshing in and of itself. He's, publishers are like turning him down and all that stuff because he refused to give fucks essentially. And then when you read it, you're like, oh wow, it's like it's refreshing to not see something that's just like another ghost written, typical type sounding book. So I like it for that reason. And it's the first 42 pages that I've read thus far. I promise I will finish that book. It is good.
Those 42 pages, so good.
I highlighted it a lot. But in those first 42 pages, one of the big focuses is how we kind of aggregate our belief systems as we go. And we start off like most all religions are trying to get back into that first that womb phase of your life where you're just open, expansive creativity. You're this open vessel. And then throughout your life, you keep on learning these things. And he kind of refers to it as like lying to yourself in a way. You learn these different things. And then you start to take on these different roles that you think you're supposed to be. And it's like these cultural norms and all that. And you look in yourself in the mirror, like you're saying, and you're like this image that you've created that's not necessarily accurate, or it may be dissonant with like that deeper truth.
Yeah.
So his Radical Honesty, I think, with the 42 pages that I've gathered so far, is about getting out of that bullshit idea of what you think you are.
Yeah, that's about right. And when it comes to the fitness industry, it's kind of like my ego wants to be really successful, wants to be the best.
Right.
And when you see an opportunity to be the best, our ego likes to hold on to that. And I think in my case, when it comes to the fitness industry, I have gone through phases where I've seen opportunity. The field is wide open for me, and I'm just like, I'm taking over.
Yeah, right.
And you do it, and it's very fun. And although you may operate with, positive intent and with integrity and trying to do, quote unquote, the right thing, when you go around chasing opportunities, what ends up happening is that somewhere along the lines, you lose yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have strategies or an environment that's conducive for reminding you of who you are along the way, you're going to arrive at the top, and all of a sudden you're going to be like, what the hell am I doing here?
Right.
It's like the example of, climbing up the wall, the ladder that's leaning against the wall that you thought you wanted to climb up, and all of a sudden you're at the top and you're like, I'm on the wrong wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, the fitness industry for a while felt like that, and now I realize, wait a second, I'm leaning against the right wall. It's just the conversation that I want to have within the fitness industry is very different than move better.
Right.
When it comes to the physique, it's more of a mental, emotional process. And yes, it does express itself physically, but it's not limited to the physical performance.
How do you put that into 5 easy steps to integrating your mind and body or whatever?
You don't, because that's the easy way.
Yeah.
That's the way that everyone wants it done.
Right.
And it's like the 3 steps, the 5 steps, this whole thing, which is great for selling and adding velocity to your business and making sure that within your short lifespan that you supposedly have, you can make the impact that you're supposed to make. That's the bullshit that fitness continues to feed us. And I'm like, fuck this. I'm done. I'm over it. And I struggle because I'm surrounded by very rational people who are practical, people who understand the importance of being simple, clear, and compelling. And sometimes you need to say things like, what are your pain points? Or here are 3, steps to you being free, or doing something extraordinary. So I listen to them. And then at the same time, I try to gently just, bring 2 middle fingers up. Yeah,
good. A soft fuck
just
you.
a very soft,
That's
like,
good.
thank you, I love you. That being said, I'm going to continue to try to nurture this side of who I am and what I believe in, because I really think there's something there. And as time goes by, maybe I can revert or regress back into something that sounds like the 5 steps too.
Right.
But until then, I'm going to continue being in this little gray area, gray space where everything is a little cloudy and foggy and confusing.
I think the 5 steps, I mean, obviously that's like a part of the upcoming book that I'm doing, so I'm mocking myself
I get
intentionally. And I think that there is value for giving people a handle to hold on to. Mm-hmm. So it's like the Trojan horse. If you just come in and you're like, like here, it's like the Trojan horse is like the 5 steps or whatever the bullshit marketing thing is. Like there's no 5 steps that's going to truly put everything together for you. But if you're overly nebulous, then people are just like, I don't know where to start, so I won't.
Right. People need an anchor to be able to connect with you and relate to you. And that's why an example, I know we're jumping around a lot now, but we'll get there. We'll get to the point. We're going to land eventually.
We're going to align.
Right.
Align this motherfucker.
So we're going to line that thing down and we'll be aligned in a second.
Yeah.
Okay. An example.
Yeah.
CrossFit comes around. I come around CrossFit. I realize that everyone wants to get this muscle up. They struggle to get it. I come out and I'm like, guys, nothing to worry about. I have arrived. I have a few simple steps that are going to get you there if you're willing to put in the work. People watch it. They consume it. They still struggle with it. I've given them as many ladders and handles as I can possibly come up with. I can't figure out more ways of teaching you how to do this. Now, it's up to you to do the work, right? You need to go do the work. And people still struggle with it. So you begin to wonder, like, what what's going on here? Why am I giving you the prescription, the steps, the ladder, the formula, and you're still not getting it? Well, it can't be on me anymore. There has to be something else. So that, back in the day, I mean, this is like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, was driving me absolutely nuts. So I was like, screw the muscle up and screw all of you. I'm putting out all this content, and now I'm like, mad. I have a chip on my shoulder. Yeah. Screw all of you, and stop sending me messages about the damn muscle up. Right. Fast forward.
You're like resenting what you've created.
Exactly. Well, because I thought, here I come. I'm the guru, guys.
Right.
I'm the guy that's giving you the solutions. Come on, like do it, right? You got it. And no one's doing shit. So you're just kind of disappointed. You're wondering what the problem is. It must be me. No, it must be you. So you have this internal battle. Whatever. I put it to rest. I gave myself some space. And fast forward to the present day, today, 2018. We're in, August? September 1st tomorrow.
I recently thought it was 2008. Very embarrassing.
Well, I had to do awkward math. I'm like, 10 years. I was just with Daniel right now at a coffee shop wondering how old I was 10 years ago. Yeah. I was like, 36 minus 10. Yeah. What is that?
Don't do that to me.
26.
Okay.
I did it on a piece of paper.
Yeah, you got it.
Embarrassing. Yeah. Anyways.
I have an interesting anecdote about numbers and your brain and such, but continue on.
Okay, we'll talk about it because I suffered from a little bit of that the other day on the plane.
Perfect.
Dude, we're all over the place.
No, it's good.
Are the listeners, are you guys still with us?
They're there.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. They're present.
All right. Fast forward to the present day. Now, guess what I'm doing? I'm teaching the Muscle Up Masterclass.
Full circle.
Full circle. And you know what it is? It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. Because people are attracted to this idea of the muscle up.
Yeah.
Making $1 million, having six-pack abs, doing a handstand, whatever it may be that you're attracted to. People are attracted to this idea. Great. If you're attracted to this idea, and I happen to be, quote unquote, an expert in this concept, what I want to do is I want to use this movement, this thing that you're attracted to, as an excuse to figure out who are you and why do you care about this? And if by the end of our interaction, talking about the muscle up, you realize that you care about it, hopefully now you have some clarity. You got the rungs to climb the ladder. You have some motivation, so you have some fire that will fuel you to take action. Or you'll be confused enough that now you are going to use that confusion as the new space that you created to become a student and grow into the knowledge that you need. So I've come to a point where I'm at peace. I'm like, if you want to come to me for the muscle up, welcome in.
Yeah.
And once you're here, I'm going to guide you through a conversation that's going to lead you to the true answers, not the muscle up, but what the muscle up can actually give you. Right. Like what it can provide for you, how it can get your needs met. So when those needs are met, you bridge the gap between the thing that you have in your head and reality, the way that you're truly expressing yourself in the world. And that's the beauty of it. So now I'm kind of like, I am so grateful that I was, this gymnast that came into the CrossFit scene and, had the keys.
Right.
And how cool is that? And I think that's the paradox of life. We're all born with certain things that are unique to us from the genetic code and the way our genes are expressed to how we have been nurtured through our environment and through the people that we've been surrounded by and the era that we've been born into. And all of these things are strengths and tools to be able to do what I believe is fitness, which is making you as capable as possible for being yourself in this very moment. And that's all it is. That's the secret sauce.
So what's the transition from muscle up to bigger than that?
That's a great question. So I start my muscle up master class by asking people if they have a muscle up, right? Everyone has a picture of what the muscle up is. So I ask, hey, how many of you guys, show a hand if you have a muscle up? And you have some people that have them and some people that don't have them. And then I pick someone that doesn't have a muscle up, and I ask them, do you want to have a muscle up? I would love to, Carl. That's why I paid the money to come here and see you. I flew from Egypt. A guy flew from Egypt to Toronto to come. I'm not messing with you, dude. Crazy.
That's cool.
He's like, I flew from Egypt. I'm like, okay, come on over. Comes over, and I'm like, okay, do you see these rings? I want you to get over those rings and do that muscle up right now, okay?
They probably don't have YouTube in Egypt. The only way.
The only way. Anyway, the only way is if I fly to Toronto. Anyway, so I asked the guy to do the muscle up, and he's like, right now? I was like, no better time than now. Go for it. And, well, they kind of like jump up on the rings and they like kind of try this thing. And, you know, they're like, this is dangerous. I don't know if I can do it. I'm like, okay, what are you going to do about it? Well, can I ask for help? I was like, you can do whatever you want. And then he or she will ask for help. And then people will come up. They will choose who the help is. And then all of a sudden they start a dialogue. And they start talking about, well, I need to get up over the rings. Can you guys hoist me over the rings? Or can you do this? Or can you do that? Like, they start having a dialogue that is bringing some clarity to the picture, some direction. And all of a sudden, they're working as a team to get this guy over the rings. So this guy gets, hoisted up over the rings and finishes, in the perfect support, whatever, kind of smile on their face or half smile. They're kind of confused most of the times. And then they come down and I asked the simple question, did he or she get a muscle up? And some are like, yeah. And others are like, well, no, they did it for him. And that's when I go into this conversation about success and self-worth. And what you see right now is the full expression with the current capacity. What you guys are judging it against is the picture that you have in your head. And all of a sudden, when you have this picture in your head and you see reality, what is potentially happening is you're creating this expectation gap of what it's supposed to be versus what it actually is.
That's the radical honesty stuff.
And that's the radical honesty stuff. So people get lost in the expectation gap. That's where they lose their self-worth. That's where they lose that sense of fulfillment. And what I want to do is I want to close that gap. And how can we, right now, be in a mindset where we're physically, emotionally, and mentally in a place where we can see the true value of your current state of performance? Because if we can't see where you're currently at as a base, you have no business adding anything on top of that.
Right.
And then the other piece of it is that you can't do this shit alone. You need a team. You need people. And you need to be really good at communicating to those people what it is that you need and how they can help you in a way where they're not doing it for you, but actually pushing you to do it yourself. And that's the fine line of the relationships that we need to build. And that's where fitness is developed. You can go up in the mountains and train on your own all day, but eventually you're going to need to look yourself in the mirror or meet someone and gauge, am I part of this thing or not?
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the essence of human nature and true human performance. And that's the conversation that I want to have. And now once you dial it down to your strengths, your values, your principles, where you're currently standing, your self-worth, now how does that express itself not just in the gym, not just in your physical practice, but also in the way that you're speaking to yourself, the way that you're thinking about it, the way that you're feeling about it, the way that you're relating to other people, the way that you are building a vehicle that's going to be in your business or work that is delivering this message, and in turn, hopefully, becoming a mirror for everyone else to do the same.
Yeah.
And this is where we're trying to make self-development cool again, sexy again. And this is where I'm now coming in and saying, I want you to realize that this, which is something very natural, by using a design approach, meaning just an integrated approach on making conscious decisions, can help you create an environment that is conducive for this type of thinking, this type of feeling, this type of moving. Right. And that's what we can call culture, eventually become societies, turn into gyms, brands. I don't care.
Yeah.
All I want you to do is realize that you're in control in certain aspects of your life. Let's control that. And now let's let the things that we're not in control of become the wave that we get to ride.
Yeah, it's interesting the ties and the relationships that manifest as a product of doing hard things together. You know, like in those situations, like the bond that's happening there. One, people are touching each other, which is rare in our culture. Mm-hmm. Two, people are struggling. Three, people are thinking. You know, four, probably some other factors. There's all these different things that kind of congeal and bring us together. But you know, I think that most people, if you like really take an honest look at your life, it's pretty detached from all those things that really like actually create bonds and relationships with the world around you, and then even with yourself. I did a hot yoga class just like a couple days ago with a friend, and it was his first time, and he was like sincerely convinced that he like almost died. You know, he was like, dude, I was passing out. Like I didn't think I was gonna make it, man. And we got done, and we had like this like really like beautiful bonding experience because I felt, you know, I got pretty jacked up by it too. Mm-hmm. You know, but those situations that are actually seem so hard and uncomfortable, the reality, once they're over, they're like the most valuable things you could possibly do. Right. And if you can infuse that movement, that like struggle, that challenge into it. I mean, I don't really have a point with this other than just we need to do more of that stuff.
We do. And you know, when it comes to movement, the body is such a great bridge to all of these things. It's, you know, that's why you talk about the pain body. Yeah. Because that's where most people feel for the first time. And
that's the Trojan horse. It's the other Trojan horse.
That's it.
My back hurts. Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Cool, sweet. Come in. We'll talk.
Mm-hmm. And so last week I was traveling. I went and did a workout, and I'm in this gym, and I know a couple people, but I'm feeling a little uncomfortable. Simply because I know some people recognize me, and then they have these expectations of how you're going to do things. They're kind of having these weird conversations with you, and you kind of become a little distracted sometimes. And I do this workout, and in the beginning of the workout, I tweak my back. Just one of those things. I put the barbell down, I'm like chalking up, I come back over, I bend over to grab the bar, and I tweak my back as I'm bending over. I'm just like, what the hell?
I'm Carl Paoli.
Yeah.
I'll tweak my back.
What is happening right now? Anyway, I tweak my back, and of course, I finished the workout, and I'm not going super hard or anything like that, but I can feel like, yeah, I tweaked my back. I've had a herniated disc that I've been, carrying around for a while, and this just like flared it up. I did a little something that got me off, and now I'm kind of in that pain zone, right? Fast forward a week, yesterday we drop into class, and I knew that was what was on the board. I would love to do it. I could totally do it, but I knew that if I did it as prescribed, yep, I would not be aligned with my intent and purpose for moving and training, which is feeling great, right, and looking great, and doing it in a way that is inspiring to others. Like one of my, physical affirmations is, I want to be a safe, inspiring, long-lasting mover, period. That's my affirmation. I tell myself that I am this, right?
Cool.
And when I see the prescription on the board, I'm like, you know what? My ego wants to do this because I know I want to compete with people. I love that. That's part of my nature. I'm fiery like that. But at the same time, I know that if I compete, I'm setting myself back. I'm not going to feel good. My back is going to be hurting. It's going to flare it up. It's unfair to my body. My body is my temple. I can't be shitting on it. So I had to create my own individualized prescription around this. And it looked nothing like what everyone else was doing. All of a sudden, I feel like I don't belong. And the conversation in my head begins. And it leads to my self-worth and value is less. When in reality, what I'm doing is I'm doing a huge service to myself. Yeah. So how do we align that conversation in our head with what is really happening right now in this moment and how it plays a part in the bigger picture?
Yeah.
That's the work.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been talking about. It's like, this is not about working out. This is about working in.
Yeah.
Like, what are you working into your program? What are you working into the way that you do things? And I want to believe that when your book comes out and people read your book, that they're thinking about taking in this new information, this new knowledge, and they're working it into their daily practice. Because you know that if they work it into their practice, they're going to be more aligned, they're going to be better, they're going to feel better, they're going to whatever.
$1 million in 6-pack. That's the guarantee.
Exactly.
That's the promise of the book.
Promise.
Guarantee.
Beachbody.
Yep. $24.99 money back guarantee.
Bam. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But that's not the thing.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah. Otherwise, you and I would not be having this conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. The ironic thing is, like, when you're in those instances of where you know the prescription in quotations, in that case a little prescription, but whatever the prescription is, it doesn't suit your body. It's actually it's an opportunity to really truly be a leader. Mm-hmm. You know, so you want to be the leader and, like, you know, stomp everybody on the workout or whatever. But the reality is, it's kind of like when you have a question in school. You know, you don't want to ask the questions, you don't want to sound dumb, but the reality is probably 75% of the room are like, I had the exact same question. You know, so in those instances where you're like, I'm really not feeling that. Mm-hmm. there's probably a good chance that there's, you know, another nice sized group of people that are like, it's not the best thing for their bodies either, and it's a beautiful opportunity for you to actually truly be a leader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, it's twofold. It's one, we all love instant gratification, right? We would love to be able to get, you know, what we want right now. We want that. And everyone wants that. And sometimes when you're questioned, let's say yesterday there was a workout and people were like, hey, Carl, why aren't you doing a power clean right now? Why are you on the GHD doing hip extensions? I don't know how to explain it to you. I tweaked my back. Okay, I can't give you the extent of reasons behind why I'm choosing this. Well, yeah, there's more skill transfer. That it gives me the opportunity to move load that I can carry right now in a way that is conducive for healing my back and keeping me active. And I can give you that list, but we can't in that moment. So you're never going to be fully understood. And that sense of being fully understood, that instant gratification that gives you, if we can remove ourselves from that would be a powerful thing. The other thing is time, is that we are mentally so bound by time, and we can only think in finite ranges. So it's almost like yesterday's workout is like the only workout I'm going to get, and it may be the last. So. Right. So we get paranoid, and it's how can we live in this moment, which is the micro, and still operate under the essence of the macro, which is, 100 years that we're going to be around or whatever it may be. That's hard.
Right.
And that creates an internal struggle that can lead to crazy conversations in your head and translate into very crazy looking behaviors. And this is where the leadership on my end is. My job as quote unquote a coach is to be someone who educates people on using their body in the best way they can and aligning that with their purpose, their intentions.
Yep.
And then figuring out what is the product of that. It's probably going to look a little bit different for you than it looks for me, and to be okay with that, to be okay to be different.
Yeah. I took a picture of this sign in Thailand. It had like, whatever, the Thai writing on it, but then it had a little picture of a turtle and rabbit. It says, in English, in translation, is very complex. Do like turtle, not rabbit. And I was like, that's my shit. Like that's the thing is, like, when you see so many people, oftentimes that they were like, maybe not steroids, but whatever kind of steroid-esque type thing. They're like jacked and swollen and like raw, veiny, and there's all these, as a man, that might be very attractive. But so often you see those guys in 5, 10, 15 years, and you're like, whoa, what happened? Mm-hmm. Whereas you see like the Qigong guy or the people that really, they were focusing on developing a relationship with themselves. You see that person in 5, 10, 15 years, and you're like, oh, there's like, generally speaking, I think that the do like turtle, not rabbit, in like a workout perspective makes a lot of sense. And then maybe sometimes being a rabbit every now and again has value. Mm-hmm. But it's that relationship thing. I was doing a workout with a guy recently who had like tweaked his back and had hip stuff, had this whole anecdote of all the stuff that was wrong with him. And so I was like, oh, cool. Well, maybe, I'll show you some like deadlifting techniques and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And we went to do it. And it just felt inappropriate. Mainly, I think I was just not feeling like doing it. But instead, we went through and did like these breathing techniques and this little like meditation thing, and showed him how to like work at his office in a position on the ground, from like the 90-90 position, and crossing your legs and breathing and feeling your sit bones under the floor. And by the end of it, his pain was gone. Mm-hmm. So as opposed to just layering on more rabbit shit and just like, rah, let's like add more force to the system that's already broken.
Yeah.
Sometimes the most valuable thing you can do is pull back, cultivate that relationship, and then at some point you'll just have this feeling of energy where you're like, yeah, it makes sense. Mm-hmm. But I think, me speaking for myself, I always have the tendency when I just add more strength, more power, go.
There's stuff that's really cool to do. Like a muscle up is cool. A backflip is cool. Yeah, skiing down a mountain is cool. Yeah. It's cool stuff. And I want to do cool stuff. The question is, how do I do cool stuff in a way that allows me to come home and be with my wife and my kid and my dog and, be sitting on the couch here having this nice conversation and not be maybe in the hospital, or I have to go and get an MRI today.
Right.
And not to live in this like permanent state of preventive medicine, which is kind of the culture that we're developing in many ways. When you see, Dr. Oz, for example, on TV, which we don't realize, but a lot of people watch this. And now with YouTube, you see people who have something very important to say, but they succumb to, I know that what gets me views is the quick fix, the 5 steps, the strong pitch.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's designing a lifestyle that allows you to, I'm going to work on the ground. Like one of the things that we have in the program, in the freestyle training program, is here's a lifestyle thing. You're going to spend 20 minutes on just sitting on the ground. Don't put your hands on the ground and see what happens. And the first 5 minutes, everyone's like sitting still. And then they're like, well, I need to move my legs. Can I do that? You can do whatever you want. And then people naturally end up in a 90-90 position. No one invented, hey, if you do the 90-90, right, leg shape here.
My program, back off.
Yeah. It's like, let the body do, but create situations that are conducive for you to realize those. An example, I was heading to the endodontist this morning, and I'm walking into the office, and I realize my heart rate is starting to go up. I'm like, damn, I'm nervous. I don't know what they're going to tell me, what's going to happen. I don't want to feel pain.
That increases pain.
Right?
Being under stress.
Yeah, so all of a sudden I start getting stressed. And before I even had a chance to think about my breath, I was already starting to breathe different. And now you're like, oh, well, breath work is important. No shit, Sherlock, right? It's like, no shit is important. But how easy is it to not be aware of that, and knowing that, okay, I can't control my heart rate, but I can control my breath. Okay, so if I control my breath, maybe I can change my heart rate. And that's the beauty of engineering and understanding these things. But you have to have a level of awareness that allows you to go there. And the only reason I have it is because I've trained, because I've meditated, because I've lived 36 years of being exposed to feeling a shit ton. And I can go there pretty quickly. So I was able to, by the time I was entering the doctor's office, I was like, hey guys, how's it going? Ready to sit in the chair. I'm super excited for this.
Yeah.
This is, what an opportunity.
So what are the codifiable 5 easy steps in that situation for you?
Yeah, so I can walk you through it. I'm walking towards the building, and I there was this girl that was kind of like handing me some sort of flyer or something, and I said no thank you. And as I said no thank you, I just kind of realized that I had this like anxiety feeling just kind of creeping up in my stomach, and then I realized, oh wait, my heart rate is kind of up, and that's when I noticed. And as soon as my heart rate was up, I started thinking, why is my heart rate up? Oh yeah, I'm going to the doctor's office, and these are the potential scenarios that are coming. So I started thinking about what is coming. And as soon as I went there, which is kind of like the second realization, the second layer, I said, oh yeah, wait a second. You're not there yet. Where are you? You're right here. You're right where your feet are. Okay. And then that pulled me straight back to myself. And that's when I realized, oh, yeah, you're breathing. Oh, yeah, the breath is important. And then as soon as I took 3 deep breaths as I was walking, just like each step I took, I was taking a breath, my heart rate immediately went down. And all of a sudden I was pressing the button for the elevator. I stepped in. I was saying hi to some people. And all of a sudden I was just where I had to be in that moment. So if there had to be quantifiable steps that you're taking is noticing what your body is telling you. I felt some sort of anxiety. For me, it was coming from my stomach and up. The second thing I started realizing as I felt the anxiety was me thinking, why am I feeling this way? What is it that's coming up? Oh shit, I'm about to go to the doctor, and the doctor potentially has some bad news, and maybe they're going to poke me with those really uncomfortable things, and and then I was like, wait a second, that's a story I'm telling myself. I'm not even there. Where am I? So here comes step 3. All of a sudden, you realize what you're thinking. That's step 2. Where am I? Step 3. And now step 4 is focus on the thing that you can control, breath, the way you move, the way that you speak. You can control these things. Yep. And then 5 is like own the moment. Step into where you're actually at. And where I was in an elevator. Hello, good morning, how are you? You know?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're actually part of life. And you're getting to enjoy it rather than be suffering and thinking and worrying and having all this shit that is all made up.
Yeah.
That we're making up. And it's made up because it's how we have been, how we've evolved to survive. So that's where the appreciation has to come. Thanks to this moment of like anxiety, I'm actually alive today. But now how can I use this in a way that is positive for me? I can be proactive in using what my body has as a tool for my survival rather than succumbing to it.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting how that same stress response that keeps you here, when you let it go out of control, it kills you. Yeah, so it's like having that balance is always the key, I guess. Pain is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
When you're saying when you actually are stressed and you're perceiving something as it's going to be painful. So if you give somebody, if you tell somebody that you're about to burn them, and then you put an ice cube against them, they wig out as though they literally got burnt. They can even there can actually be, I guess it would be like called psychosomatic, I don't know, inflammation, where you can literally see a mark where they've convinced themselves so much that they've been burnt that a little mark of a burn manifests itself. You can do that with hypnosis as well. You can hypnotize people in believing, and split personality is the same thing. They go into another personality that has like a scar or a rash that can manifest. It's like our perception of what pain is and like what's really going on I don't think anybody has any idea, actually.
Yeah, I think that's huge, and I totally believe in it. And going back to the doctor, the reason I was at the endodontist was because I went to my dentist the other day to get my teeth cleaned. The hygienist is like, "Oh my God, your teeth are so beautiful and so clean, and you do such a great job." And I was like, "Oh, thank you so much," you know. And then I see the dentist, and the dentist is like, "Oh, you know what? Last time you came in, I saw that you had a little thing there. I want to double check it." And then we're doing some like X-rays, and then he's looking at me with the most worried facial expression I've ever seen. And I'm like, "Am I gonna die from this like tooth thing?" And he goes down the list of all the scary things that can happen to you. I left the dentist thinking, holy shit, I may die because this tooth is rottening or something.
Damn.
A month later, I'm at the endodontist, and he's like, no, we did all the tests, and we went above and beyond to make sure that you were okay, and I don't see anything. This is in your head. And as soon as I left that place, I was like, dude, I'm healed.
Yeah.
My endodontist is Jesus.
That's some shaman shit.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, I believe in that, and I think that is totally right. Yeah.
Emotions are processed in the same part of the brain as pain. So when you have a sensation of like, say, like rejection or something like that, like a really uncomfortable emotional sensation, I mean, I don't know anything about this, so I just read little snippets. I think it's the anterior cingulate cortex, whatever.
You can trick me, I don't know either.
Other people know more about this than me. But anywho, from what I've read, that's a place where we're processing both emotional pain and physical pain. So a pin prick, a burn, literally the way that it's processed inside your noggin is just as though your girlfriend broke up with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it is fascinating, which is awesome.
So like chronic pain, a high percentage of, there's a guy, John Sarno, Heal Your Back Pain, I think is what it's called, Healing Back Pain. And in that book, he claims like 90% or 95% of chronic back pain or chronic pain in general is actually happening as like emotional repression. So if you can get to the root cause of why you're actually all bundled up and tight inside your guts, inside your mind, then all of a sudden that musculoskeletal issue can resolve itself as well.
Right.
Shit's crazy.
It is crazy. And, you know, I mean, just if we go down this rabbit hole, I made some decisions at the time that I released my book in 2014 that led to me getting into a situation where I was financially pretty uncomfortable. Because I really wanted to make change in my life, and from a business perspective, I felt like I had to just, you know, turn the whole ship around, and that financially made me start struggling and put me in a pretty uncomfortable position that we don't have to get into all the details, but I was uncomfortable financially. And at the same time, my body was suffering from back pain. Like all of a sudden, like this herniated disc was flaring up, and what's going on? Exactly. Why is that happening? And at the same time, I was interacting with a lot of different people, and some of them were healers, and they were telling me that, you know, back pain and financial stress go hand in hand. Yep. And when one of these healers was telling me this, I was feeling and experiencing an excruciating amount of back pain as they were telling me. And it is interesting because it has to have some kind of connection to some degree, just like you said. It's like if you get, you know, poked with a little needle, you can experience it in the same place in your brain and feel it the same way as if you got your heart broken. And it is interesting how that works. Yeah,
journaling is a big thing that they mention, that Sarno mentions as far as his, calls it TMS, tension myoneural syndrome, which is like a long word for essentially your brain.
Yeah, I'm like.
Yeah, right. Sorry. I like because so much of the stuff I say is just like, you know, ridiculous. So I like to every once in a while throw an unnecessary polysyllabic word in there, just a little validation practice. But what he says in there is that you actually end up sending less blood flow. Like you end up choking out that area of your body when you have that stress.
Wow.
So you like suffocate yourself.
That makes sense to me. That makes sense to me.
So journaling is a really great practice in there of starting to just like, we have all I did a poetry thing recently, the guy called InQ. He's dope. I highly recommend. We're going to do a podcast. He's great.
That's awesome. I can't wait to check it out.
Dude, InQ's great. Yeah, he's like spectacular, just specimen of a mind. Highly recommend people looking into his stuff. And he kind of like, he gave us 25 minutes to write this poem. And he's like, there's no rules, no structure, like anything you write, if it's true and it's like coming from your heart, then it's a poem.
Mm-hmm.
Like
That's cool.
No bullshit of like 5 out, whatever. It's just like come from your heart, let it flow out. Rhyme, not rhyme, it's a poem.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start looking, like that's something that I just don't give myself space to do in my life. But as you do it, you start getting into all these like different channels and like floodgates in your body. You're like, oh shit. Because we're so do-based, more deadlift, more, kip up, more whatever. So having that space, all of a sudden it gets you into, you start opening up some emotional stuff in there.
Yeah, that's huge.
I spilled water on your couch. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Coffee.
It's just water. It's no big deal.
Too excited.
Sometimes you have to move around a little bit as you're expressing yourself.
Express myself.
You had to cool yourself down. Took a little cold shower. What was I going to say? Journaling.
I was going to ask practices in relation to like back pain and stuff or whatever.
Oh, practices, like movement
whatever.
Practice?
That was what I was trying
Go
to
take a yoga class.
Oh, there you go. That's a start. That's something.
This is how I see it. It's super simple. Most people don't remember how they got out of bed this morning. They just got out of bed, right? But if you've gotten hurt in the past and you try to get out of bed, I bet you $1 million you're going to tell your mom, your dad, your brother, I was in so much pain and I was rolling out of bed and I had to kick my leg over and put my hand on. Right? You know exactly the steps that you took to get out of bed when you were in pain. So, what that tells us is that when we are in pain, we become aware. Okay? Now, the other thing is that when you are in pain, you also manage to find positions, movement patterns, strategies to move in a way that the pain is minimized. Mm-hmm. That's the beginning of your practice. So how can we move right now in a way that is conducive for strengthening the patterns that are potentially going to be beneficial if something ever were to happen? And at the same time, facilitate what we're currently doing in a way that we're becoming more efficient and effective. So all I'm doing is I'm saying, you know what? If you want to teach people how to sit on the ground while they're working because you believe that within it they're going to find corners that are stiff and they're going to be able to mobilize, or they're going to realize that they're missing maybe some stability or strength that they can develop in these positions, that's the exercise.
Yeah.
And if those things are not leading to healing your back or getting you emotionally stable to some degree or having the right conversations, then the practice is incomplete. And our job as the experts that we are, right?
Totally.
Because we have the headset.
You heard me say anterior cingulate cortex.
Yeah, exactly. We heard you.
That doesn't validate me. I don't know.
We all heard you. We all heard you, dude. But we have the headset, and here we are telling the truth, right? We're speaking the freaking truth.
Radical honesty.
Yeah. But this is the thing: is like we're all full of it.
Yeah.
And the sooner we realize that we're full of it, the sooner we start making the change that we can make. And the way I see it is, how can I create an environment that helps people ask themselves the right questions and to realize that they on their own are already doing the right things to either get themselves out of pain or move towards a higher level of performance, and then really highlight the things that they're doing really well and continuing to nurture those so they become a habit and they multiply and now transcend the exercise, the practice itself into every aspect of their life. That's what we're really doing. We're just trying to get people aligned with their own best practice.
Cool, man.
Yeah. I think it's that simple.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm on board.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's like, should we drop the mic?
That's what I was feeling. I was gonna say, like, where do people sort your stuff out? Where do people learn more? I'd like to mention, because I am quite enamored with the strike movement stuff.
I appreciate that.
People ask me quite a lot about what kind of like stretchy pants I wear, and I mostly wear just like no name whatever.
Yeah, what are these
nonsense.
jeans? You're wearing some jeans right now.
These are like these are like my first pair of fancy jeans that I bought. I already got like coffee stains and stuff.
Your fancy pants.
These are my fancy pants. I got them at I don't remember where the place I got them, but these are I don't even know what brand they are. It's something, but they're stretchy.
They're stretchy. Yeah.
Any pants I wear, they're stretchy. My rule is that if you tear your pants as you live your life, you're like graduating. It's a good thing. So if I hear a rip on a subway, I'm like, fuck yeah.
How much did you pay for those pants, you think? Fancy pants.
These fancy pants, they were half off. They were $150.
$150.
Yeah.
Dude, my pants, people ask me about my pants all the time. I paid $29.99.
That's most all of my pants.
At H&M.
Yeah, that's the way. This is my only pair of fancy pants, I swear, Carl.
Fancy pants. But Strike Movement is not H&M. Strike Movement is something else. For those who are listening, Strike Movement is a footwear and apparel brand. We focus mainly on footwear, but we also have apparel. It's a company founded by Mark Morissette. He used to be a pro snowboarder. He's also a savant when it comes to design and aesthetic, and on bringing to life something that doesn't have life, such as a shoe. And he is one of those beautiful minds that is doing something very unique. And I came in to become an ambassador for Strike Movement back in the day. And when I left Reebok, I also became an investor and a shareholder and an advisor. And yeah, we're doing wonderful things. It's growing. The message is that we're all united by motion. So we're encouraging people to move, and we're encouraging people to move with some intention and to connect while doing that. And we hopefully provide some tools, such as shoes, that are not going to get out of your way, but still have a little flair to them, where they're quote unquote fashionable, and where the aesthetic kind of just sets a tone for what our little pizzazz, the kind of style is.
You do pants and stuff too.
Yeah, we don't have like dress pants.
No fancy pants.
But they're fancy jogger pants. Yeah, like sweatpants.
But they're nice.
They are nice. Yeah.
I have no affiliation to them, by the way. Just so people know, I'm not like trying to sell anything.
We'll send you the free little starter kit.
Little bag.
Here's the starter kit.
All right. How do people learn more about the other stuff? Where do people go?
Yeah, for my stuff, they should go to freestyleconnection.com. I'm really excited about what we're doing there. We're still like in the middle of really setting it very clear what it is that our intentions are. My intention is I want to give people tips, life hacks on how to design their life so they can live at their highest.
Don't resent it down the line, Carl.
No, I can't. I can't.
What have I done?
Yeah, what have I done?
I've quantified tips.
That total shit. But yeah, basically just sharing some information on how to move better, how to eat better, what are some basic lifestyle choices you can make, what is the technology that you wear from the watch that you're wearing right now. It's a movement watch, right?
I like shit that says movement.
Yeah, it's nice.
I just like the word.
It's nice. Do they sponsor your podcast yet?
No, they got bought out by Movado. I was really disappointed.
Oh, really?
Actually. Yeah, I'm like not as stoked on movement. I was like super movement watch guy.
And now you're just like...
Now I'm like, Movado. Movado's great. I think it's a good company, but it's not. I like little companies.
Yeah, kind of cue the flush the toilet soundbite.
Yeah, exactly. We got to get somebody on that.
Yeah, right? Gotta get that going. You got to get some of the sound bites in.
Maria, if you're listening, put a toilet thing in.
There you go.
But we'll try. This will be the first one. It probably won't happen.
I can't wait. Yeah, so that's what that is, and I want to talk about all aspects of performance, not just movement, not just nutrition and lifestyle, but also technology and business and culture, and talk about it in a way that is just opening the conversation. And right now, what's super exciting for me is I have started working one-on-one with people, and some people call it life coaching, but if you had to if you had to really define it according to what I'm really doing, it sounds more like business development.
Sure.
So I'm helping people really crystallize their ideas, the things that they're imagining, and then bringing a strategic template to the plate, and then encouraging them to act on it. And it's really fun, and it's.
Is there any one practice or tip that you could give to flush out someone's creative vision of anything?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is having your anchor in your intent. So, for example, for me, what I know is that my intent is always to bring the best out of people. That's what it is. So anything that I do, whether it's selling shoes or teaching people how to do the muscle up, all I want to do is to bring the best out of you. So if you can anchor yourself in your intent, your purpose, now you have something. Then we can get a little bit more specific, which is now we need to have a mission. And we need something that's written out that's very crystal clear. And you can write a mission. So anyone who's listening, you can write a personal mission statement by answering 5 questions. Who are you? What do you do? Who do you do it for? What is it those people need? And when they get their needs met, what kind of impact do you make in their life? Done. And when you have that mission statement written out in a very concise, 1 or 2 sentences, you can look at that, and that stimulates your brain to feel a certain way, to look at the world a certain way, and all of a sudden to feel fulfilled as you're acting.
That's good.
And then there's a bunch of exercises you can do around this, and this level of self-development gets you started. And now we can take anything you have on your mind and we can turn it into a business. And a business is not, let's go ahead and make money. It's creating a lifestyle that is conducive for you to be a part of it and to grow yourself and grow people around it and to deliver the message of your intent, your purpose.
Yeah, money comes as a product of improving people's lives.
Mm-hmm. And that's been a big thing for me. My relationship with money has totally changed over the last couple of years. And as that has changed, I'm now living in abundance again in a way that just feels so great. And I highly encourage people to feel comfortable exploring these things.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let's wrap it up.
Let's do it.
How long was that? I don't even know. 57 minutes and a half.
That was pretty good.
That's perfect.
Dude.
Thanks.
Bam. Thank you.
Over and out.
Thank you so much for tuning in to that conversation. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. We got a couple things to help support that body of yours, one of which is the Align band that people have been really loving, which I'm super grateful for. It is a heavy-duty resistance band, comes along with a door anchor, traveling case, and then a online video guide on how to use that thing. It's my absolute go-to travel tool. I've got it hanging literally from my door right beside me now. Use it regularly, use it with clients. It can be found at alignpodcast.com/gear on Amazon, and you can also find it at Align Band on Instagram. Also, we finally did it. We created the Align Method online program, which focuses on unwinding the patterns of staring into technology, essentially. So forward head posture, rolled forward shoulders, rolled forward spine, kind of like just that hunchy posture thing that modern world is stricken by, gets into how to align your physical body. So self-care, joint by joint, from ankle to knee to hip to spine to head to neck, etc. Really good stuff. Also gets into lifestyle, gets into morning routines, nighttime routines, how to effectively handstand, how to move on the ground. People have been loving that. Thank you all for grabbing it, the ones that have. And if people have any questions about that, you can reach out at Align Podcast on Instagram. I'm happy to support. All right. Thank you guys. Enjoy your day. Thanks for joining you. Thanks for telling your friends. Thanks for reviews on iTunes. That's it.